The original space race wasn't just about exploring. It was a high-stakes demonstration of ideological and technological supremacy. When the U.S. reached the moon in 1969, it was the ultimate proof of what a nation could achieve under a unified, massive mobilization of resources. This milestone established a benchmark for global leadership, showing that space dominance was directly tied to a nation's geopolitical influence and its capacity to turn science fiction into absolute reality. While the West was looking at the lunar surface, a new player was quietly laying its foundation. Entering the space age in 1970 wasn't about catching up overnight. It was a long-term declaration of intent. For China, this first step proved independent technological capability. It signaled to the world that they would not be left behind in the cosmic arena, setting off a methodical, decades-long journey toward becoming a completely self-reliant space superpower. As the initial rush subsided, the focus shifted from historic firsts to routine infrastructure. The shift toward reusable platforms revolutionized how we view upper orbit. Space was no longer a destination for occasional flags. It became an active laboratory and a logistical highway. This era normalized regular access to low Earth orbit, making it essential for global communications, scientific research, and national security surveillance. Sending a human into orbit is the ultimate test of a space program's maturity. Achieving independent crewed flight in 2003 was a massive geopolitical shift, breaking a decades-old duopoly. It proved that the highly complex life support, engineering, and tracking networks required for human survival in space were no longer exclusive to the West. It announced that a new titan had officially arrived at the table of elite spacefaring nations. While human footprints remained close to home, robotic explorers pushed the boundaries of active colonization. The United States focused heavily on deep space robotics, successfully placing highly advanced laboratories on the Martian surface. This strategy isn't just about taking pictures, it's about conducting long-term environmental surveys and proving that complex automated systems can operate millions of miles away without human intervention, securing a vital head start on the red planet. Before you can build a permanent home in the stars, you have to master the art of the assembly line. The launch of China's early orbital modules in 2011 was a masterclass in step-by-step engineering. The goal wasn't to rival massive international stations immediately, but to perfect the critical mechanics of automated docking, refueling, and life support. It was the essential proof of concept needed for everything that was to follow. The modern space race isn't just fought with hardware, it's fought with diplomacy and law. The return to the moon is being built on coalitions. By establishing international frameworks, the U.S. is gathering allies to set the ground rules for peaceful exploration, resource extraction, and legal boundaries beyond Earth. It's an exercise in soft power, ensuring that the future rules of the space economy align with Western standards and partnerships. True strategic brilliance lies in doing what your opponent hasn't even attempted. Landing on the far side of the moon was a monumental leap that required solving unprecedented communication blind spots. By achieving a world first in an unexplored region, China demonstrated that its program was no longer just following the footsteps of older space programs. It was a bold statement of independent technical maturity and tactical confidence. The biggest game changer in the modern era is the privatization of the cosmos. The shift from strictly government-run programs to a thriving commercial market has drastically driven down the cost of launches. Private enterprise has introduced a culture of rapid innovation, reusable rockets, and aggressive timelines. This gives the Western ecosystem a massive, flexible advantage, turning space exploration into a competitive, fast-moving commercial industry. Achieving orbit, landing, and deploying a rover on Mars, all on the very first try, is an extraordinary engineering feat. The 2021 mission demonstrated that China's deep space capabilities had rapidly matured to rival the most seasoned programs. It sent a clear message to the international community. The gap in deep space robotic execution had officially closed, and the race for planetary exploration was now a neck-and-neck competition. True space leadership isn't just about tactical assets, it's about expanding human knowledge. Deploying revolutionary space telescopes allows humanity to look back to the beginning of time. The massive hexagon mirror of JWST, pointed at the cosmos, sends the message of science as an international resource and soft power. USA's unique ability to build and deploy incredibly complex, first-of-their-kind science platforms that advance humanity's collective knowledge, solidifying its place as the leader in space science. The completion of a fully functional, permanently occupied Chinese space station marks a structural shift in low Earth orbit. As other aging international outposts face retirement, this new orbital laboratory ensures that China has a guaranteed, independent foothold in space for decades to come. It offers an alternative hub for international research, directly challenging the Western monopoly on long-duration orbital science. Sustainable deep space exploration requires a staging ground. Instead of direct, short-term trips to the lunar surface, the strategy now involves building a permanent orbital command station around the Moon. This outpost will serve as a refueling depot, a science lab, and a critical stepping stone for deep space missions. By controlling this gateway, a nation can effectively manage and secure the primary transit route to the lunar surface and beyond. The long-term endgame on the Moon is not about leaving footprints, it's about staying permanently. Developing an international lunar research station represents a shift toward sustainable habitation, local resource utilization, and deep space manufacturing. By building an open architecture base, China aims to attract global partners to its own lunar network, establishing an alternative center of gravity for the future space economy. The ultimate horizon of the new space race extends far beyond the Moon. The final frontier is establishing humanity as a multiplanetary species. This requires looking past scientific exploration and focusing on the sheer logistics of mass transport, habitat construction, and long-term survival on Mars. The nation that successfully establishes the first self-sustaining civilization on the Red Planet will secure an unassailable lead in human history. We are witnessing a clash of two distinct philosophies, two massive economies, and two visions for the future of humanity. This new space race is far more complex than the last. It is driven by technology, economic survival, and legal precedents. But competition breeds excellence. As these two superpowers push each other to the absolute limits of innovation, they are accelerating progress, ensuring that the entire human race moves closer to the stars.